Hi, my name is Michelle Yanez, and I will be presenting my public health threat on deadly sweets. Deathly sweets or diabetes is a problem for Latinos and is a growing epidemic that is expected to double in the next 20 years by the year 2030. Presently, it is the fifth leading cause of death for Latinos in the U.S. and the seventh leading cause of death for people in the U.S. overall. Looking at this graph, we could see that in 2007, Merced had the highest prevalence of diabetes compared to neighboring counties in the San Joaquin Valley, with an 11 to 12% prevalence of diabetes compared to all the other ones, which shows that Merced in general, compared to other counties, is high. One may wonder why this disease is affecting Latinos more than other ethnicities and why Merced more than any other areas in the San Joaquin Valley. And some research have found that some attributable factors are income, education, family history of diabetes, and individual physique. In a case control study conducted over a 2-year span from 1984 to 1986, researchers looked at 278 cases or diabetics and compared them to 488 controls or non-diabetics to see what known factors contributed to Latinos having two to five times more higher prevalence of becoming diabetics than non-Latinos. And what the study found was that BMI, skin fold thickness, family history, age, and income place Latinos more at risk compared to other ethnicities across all age groups. And looking at the graph, we can see that among all age groups, Latinos either have the highest or they tie with African Americans for the highest prevalence. Some of the findings of the case control were confirmed in a cohort study which looked at the change in mortality over an 11-year span, which from 1994 to 2005, which looked at how neighborhood income affected mortality in people 30 years or older. And researchers in this study found that mortality decreased across all age groups. However, the highest income group had the highest decrease in mortality, which was 40% more than those in the lower income group. And if we look at the table, we could see that people living below the federal poverty level, which was 13,000 for a family of two or 21,000 for a family of four, had the highest prevalence in both cases. And we can also see that the more income you make, the less chances you have of contracting diabetes. And the same went for education. The more educated you were, the less likely you were to contract diabetes. So this graph basically just looks at the mortality rate of Merced County in California. And what we basically see is that although there was an overall decrease across this 3-year span, Merced County still had higher mortality overall, beating California at every time interval. So it's just higher in Merced. In addition to affecting your health and potentially killing you, diabetics must also deal with the cost that diabetes places on them. And people with diabetes have medical expenses that are twice as much as for people without diabetics. And looking at this table, we could just see that diabetics spend in the billions in the US. Despite all the negativity, there are ways to address the problem. Educating the community on what they can do to reduce their chances for diabetes, like eating better and exercising, is one way individuals could help themselves and their families. Participating in awareness walks, fundraisers for funding diabetes research is another way people could participate and take action with groups like the American Diabetes Association to urge Congress and state legislature to continue federal funding for programs to stop diabetes, funding for programs to find cures, and to urge them to pass bills like the FIT Kids Act of 2011, which ensures that schools provide proper physical activity for children and better nutrition, and just ways to inform the community so that they can take action. Because the more researchers look, it's a disease that is very preventable and can be addressed in different ways. In closing, in diabetes, there is a disparity that points toward Latinos being more affected by diabetes than other ethnicities. And some major factors that contribute to this disparity are income and education. But there are ways to prevent and help protect yourself against contracting this disease. And it's important for you to take action and to address people like Congress and legislation who are empowered to make decisions that could continue to fund prevention programs and research for cures, and individually eat better, exercise, and do things to better your health and to help your children for the future. Thank you.